All right, let's dive into today's recap. Today is Tuesday, March 12th, and we are in a little bit of an interesting day. Right now, as you guys know, I've only traded one time so far today. I am currently up $258 on the day, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what else is going to be coming on up. So currently on today, you guys can see today's realized gain, 258 bucks. So that's where I'm, currently at. I am waiting for a possible couple afternoon plays, but it was good to be able to lock in at least one gain so far. Now, with that being said, what gain was that? That was my LPCN trade. And as you could see, the stock had a nice gap up, and I was able to trade that one in the morning. And we'll dive into that one a little bit more coming on up in the near future, but that was on that, nice big morning spike right here. So let's talk about what we have seen so far today, because today has been a little bit of an interesting day, right? It has been an interesting day on the fact that we're not seeing a lot of big time breakouts, right? We went from maybe the hottest market we've seen in the past 2 weeks, or not the past 2 weeks, past like 6 months. The past 2 weeks have been the hottest market we have seen in about the past 6 months. But things have just rapidly slowed down. And why is that? Well, it's all right here. BPTH, that's the culprit. BPTH is the culprit of why things are not hot right now. That's, a little funny, because the irony behind this is BPTH is the reason why things got so hot. So how is BPTH the culprit on how things have slowed down? Well, let's read out the morning newsletter that I send out to you guys. Happy Tuesday, and welcome back to Dekmar Trades. As of now, we have a very solid lineup of possible plays and breakouts today. We're seeing a few low float gap ups, some nice chart setups and press releases. Nice. My number one concern today is still the fact that BPTH is in play. Until BPTH dies off, we won't be seeing many other penny stock breakouts. This is because all eyes are focused on the stock that spiked $74, and traders are not going to just leave it. What we are really hoping for today is a big sell-off on BPTH. We have to have all traders give up on it, and then volume can search towards other plays to find the next big spike. Even today, the chart setup is this will still be the number one most watched play today, as this stock spiked $74 last week. We are still seeing a lot of buying volume on the stock as it's currently gapping up 34% off its mid-candle breakout pattern. My biggest concern is that until this play fades out, all eyes will stay here, which means it will be very tough for smaller penny stocks to spike. If you like BPTH, watch for that possible run up towards around 50 bucks today. It is getting to a point where it's getting a little bit harder to predict, as it's just based on momentum now. And this is on the downside of the spike. I would do quick scalps if you're looking for this play and look to lock in some profit. So, BPTH is the reason why the penny stock market got so hot. The reason why the stock went from $2 all the way up to $75. But it's also the reason why the penny stock market right now is also so slow, right? Because everyone is still playing. Everyone is still watching BPTH. Now, are we getting, quick little spikes in the penny stock market as slowly people are starting to come back down to earth? Absolutely. But, yesterday, everyone's still focused on that play. This morning, the majority of people are still focusing on BPTH. Tomorrow, we'll have, still people focusing on BPTH, especially depending on how it closes. Maybe on Thursday, we barely have anyone maybe focusing on BPTH. Friday, maybe that's the last day. Right, the last day that people start focusing, and maybe BPTH will be back down towards around 15 bucks. Now, people are also saying, well, Dek, we're penny stock traders, microcap traders. That stock is all the way up near 48 bucks right now, 40 bucks on BPTH. Why does that even have any sort of volume? People can't even afford that. But the fact is, this was a penny stock. This went from $2 to 75 bucks. And if you think about it, this is still a stock that went from $2, which is currently still holding $38. This is the stock that amazes people right now. This is a stock that's wowing people right now. The stock that, all rookie traders, all new traders saw last week that said to themselves, wow, that's the biggest thing I've ever seen. Look at that guy make $10,000. That guy made $900. That guy made $20,000. That guy made $3,000 on this play. So everyone is still focused on it. As I said, guys, let's break it down and make it about 100 people in the stock market, or 100 people that usually play penny stocks. let's say 20 of those people have larger accounts. 20 out of that 100, have larger accounts, maybe $100,000 plus. What do you think they're playing right now? Our big boys. Let's just call them the titans of the penny stock because they have very large accounts. Do you think they're playing penny stocks right now? Or do they say, hey, I have a big account. I'd rather play what's a little bit more hotter. I'll just focus on BPTH since it's still in play. So we just lose our titans, maybe the big accounts that are buying massive shares in the penny stock world. And then on top of that, let's say we have another 20, people. Let's say we have 10 rookies that are just, loving BPTH, saying, hopefully this thing keeps on going on up. Let's say we have 10 more people who are just bag holding, BPTH. People who have been holding BPTH for the last week, maybe got dropped on and they're hoping it goes up to 75 people. So we have 20 titans taken out. We have 20 rookie traders just amazed by it, trying to buy 50 shares on it to try to make some sort of profit. We have 10 to 15 bag holders on this who bought up near around $60, and they're just hoping it goes all the way back up there, right? Just typing on stock twits. Oh, you guys buy right now? You're going to miss it. Oh, who's selling right now? Oh, you're dumb. Like that type of stuff, just trying to get it all the way back on up, who's just like holding the bag. And with that being said, what do we have now? We have roughly probably around 55, 60, 50 people out of our normal 100. And we don't have, some of our big ballers, right? All right, so let's say we have our 50 out of 100 people in the, the penny stock world right now. All right, we come out with our press releases, and what happens? The stock goes on a quick rip because, probably out of that, 50 people, 20 to 30 people buy it. And then guess what happens? There's not that extra wave that comes in where we get our next leg up. And then another extra wave, another extra wave. What we're seeing right now is a lot of big time spikes. And then all of a sudden what happens? Everyone looks around, no one else is buying, and then it just dumps right on off, right? And these spikes are being very quick. You're either in on it first or you're getting dumped on. The break of resistance is not really working too well. Volume equals activity, and activity equals profit, right? I've said this a million times, kind of like one of my go-to slogans. Volume is people buying shares, exchanging shares. That moves the stock. That's activity. When a stock is moving up or down and is active, you can make money long or short. Volume equals activity. Activity equals profit. Low volume equals low activity, which equals no money, no profit. Low volume can also equal stronger resistance. If we have a 30K order sitting at, let's say, $4, and we only have, what? A couple buyers towards that play, are we going to be able to break that? Most likely not. So that's why most stocks are spiking up real quick and then just dumping on off. Most stocks may be spiking on up to resistance, and then what happens? It dumps on off. So, that is where we're currently at. And that's where we saw a lot of our penny stock plays. BPTH is still trying it out. There are still people, going on this play and still trying to rip it. Now, as I talked about earlier, on a technical standpoint, on a standpoint of just looking at the chart, this does look a little bit wild to want to go ahead and buy in. Now, all the reasons I said that is what? We look at BPTH, and I can look back for how long? I can look back for, the past couple years. And I don't see this ever above like the $5 mark, or right at the $5 mark for the past few years. So the fact that people are still saying, wow, I'm going to buy the stock at $40 is insane, right? Because look at it. There's nothing here. Is BPTH going to be able to hold these gains? No. It doesn't matter what stock you show me, right? RKDA did what? RKDA went from, $5 all the way up to $67, and it came on down, and guess where it's at right now? $7, right? ALT went from $4 all the way up to $36. And where is that right now? $2. Show me LFIN. LFIN, this play went from what? This play went from $4 to $144. It's currently at $1.50, right? So a lot of these different plays, guys. DRYS. If we look back at this went from $5 to $115. And this thing is currently all the way back down to $5. You know what I'm trying to say? It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter on these big time breakouts. Right here, TLRY. TLRY went from $24 all the way up to $309, $300. It's all the way back down towards $71. BPTH is not going to be able to hold this gain in the long run. It will give it back. The fact that this play does not, has not really been above $5 for the past few years. This play is running just because that's a low float stock. This play is running because it did have a press release. It did have good clinical, 2 updates, which is great, but it's not worth $75. It's not worth $38. It's probably not even worth $15 worth. But this is just where everybody is looking. And this is where everybody is focused on. Now, what you could take good out of this is that this stock does have a good mid-candle breakout pattern. I will say that. This stock does have a good mid-candle breakout pattern. And that's probably the best thing going for it. The low float and the mid-candle breakout pattern that it has. So if you want to check that out, I do agree with that. But if you're talking about the actual company of like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy right here at $38 and do a long-term investment, that's nuts. All right, that's crazy. But I can agree with the mid-candle breakout pattern setup. You can't fight that. So again, you can kind of see pretty similar stuff right here. So BPTH, it does have that going for it. And it's really just what? It all comes down to momentum. It all comes down to momentum. It all comes down to people getting eager. It all comes down to people getting greedy. Because we all know everything I just stated. I didn't even have to state that stuff about, this play kind of being up and it eventually is going to dump on off. But what's happening? One person buys and moves up a little bit. Another person buys and moves up a little bit. Another person buys, moves up a little bit. It breaks the resistance line. It moves up a little bit more. And you might even say, hey, I understand where Dek's coming from. That's kind of crazy to be buying a stock at $39. But guess what? It's moving up. And you know what? That's where money's at. So, don't tell Dek, but I'm probably going to hop in on this one. You might get mad at me, but I'm probably going to hop in because I want to make some money. So then guess what happens? You hop in and it moves up a little bit higher. And another trader may be like, all right, this is getting a little crazy, but I mean, this is where everyone's at, so I'll hop in. And then everyone keeps hopping on in, hopping on in, hopping on in. And guess what? It just keeps on going. And that's the point of momentum. And that's how greed is taking over. But then guess what's going to happen to that point? Eventually people are going to say, how high are we going to push this thing? How much longer does this thing have? How much gas does this have in the tank? And there's going to be that day where it is just going to absolutely collapse back on down. So we're waiting for that one. But the thing is, as long as BPTH is alive, the penny stock world is going to be slow. So as long as BPTH is alive, it's going to continue to take the hype. Because no one's not going to look at the stock that went from $72 to $75. No one's going to not look at a stock, even today, that went from $28 to $39. It still had an $11 rip. This stock is still the most profitable play probably in the market. Apple's not doing that. Netflix ain't doing that. Our little penny stocks ain't doing that. So either out of the big blue chip plays, BPTH is still better. Out of our penny stock plays, BPTH is still better. But it all just comes down to how much more does this have left. So this one is kind of the main attraction in the market, and people just don't want to give it up right now. And that's why it's just taking so much volume away from our current market. So BPTH, we're going to continue to keep that one on watch. As I showed you guys earlier, I made a nice profit today on LPCN, which I'm still very happy about, and I'm looking forward to that one to be able to make some nice profit. So that was a pretty solid play, and I'm very interested. Or excuse me, I'm very interested in a couple plays that I'm going to be going over in the near future. But right here, again, I just played this nice rip. Why did I play this nice rip? Came out with a hot press release. LPCN, right here. Came out with news. And what was that news on LPCN? It came out with a positive 16-week liver image study. It also came out with demonstrates substantial fatty liver reduction. The moment I saw this come out at 8 a.m., demonstrates substantial. Demonstrates substantial. Demonstrates is always a great keyword. Substantial means important. And then usually whenever they put like a body part or anything after it, this is more through experience that I've been in the market for a while, you're going to be going on a nice rip. So if we demonstrate substantial, which we're proving we have importance in what? Fatty liver, reduction. That's great. Sometimes we'll see like pancreatic cancer. Sometimes we'll see like kidney diseases. Sometimes we'll see, anything along these lines. So whenever you see demonstrate substantial, whatever reduction, it usually goes on a very big rip, and you'll see that happen every now and then. So that was more through experience that I saw that one come on out, and that's why I just hopped in on that play. Was able to make some quick money on that. Also, as I've already gone over, but obviously I'll tell you guys right now, especially for the recap, I am keeping my eyes peeled on DCAR. That's the #1 stock that I am kind of keeping on my back burner right now. If you guys were not here this morning, the reason I'm watching DCAR, which is also the #1 chart setup that I like, not only was this a chart setup, but we're keeping the stock on high watch for the break of 450, 1 million in float stock that filed a 13G yesterday. This stock is a very nice squeeze pattern between the 13 EMA and 200-day moving average. Has room to run to 493, which is yesterday's high. Keep on watch for any volume, as this stock is also being pumped in many different chat rooms. So that's why we're also watching it for any sort of random volume that can move on up. First off was the 1 million in float. Second of all, beautiful chart pattern. 13 EMA, 200-day moving average squeeze. The stock right at the bottom right here, it's got a lot of room to go. It really does. The main thing, though, there's a 13G filing, which means, again, someone looked to acquire 5% of the company. We had Mint Brokers purchase, I believe, 80,000 shares of DCAR. Now, if you guys don't know anything about Mint Brokers, it's okay. Usually, it's just this firm that purchases shares of this company, and it usually takes off in a very strong manner. They did AWX. So they purchased AWX, and AWX went from $2 and spiked all the way up to $20. They purchased ALT, and ALT went from $4 all the way up to $36. They purchased GBR, and GBR went on a rip from $2 all the way up towards around $4.45. Now, they haven't really gotten involved with a long trade in a little bit now, so this is the first one that I'm remembering since GBR, and GBR was all the way back in September. So this is the first one that I see their name pop up in about 4 to 5 months now. So about right around like 5 to 6 months actually. So DCAR, this is the first time I'm seeing their name again. Past 3 times they went long. That's where I'm at. That's what I'm seeing currently. So I got to keep my head on a swivel on this one. Usually we start seeing some sort of rip at the end of the day. So if we start seeing any sort of volume, if we start seeing this thing back up to 420, 425, and start breaking 450 at the last little bit of the day, or after lunch hours, or even during lunch hours starts warming on up, I'll pick up 500 to 1,000 shares. I'm not going to invest my whole entire account into this play or anything, but with that being said, I don't mind picking up 5 come from it and goes on some crazy rip, and I'm able to make a few $1,000s just from being prepared and being ready. That's great. And now we did talk about this morning as well. Said, hey, there's an option you could buy right now if you want to. There's an option you could buy at $4. There's an option you could buy later on today. Right now, I'm still waiting. I want to see if this thing is going to be able to come up after lunch hours. I know some people got in right at $4, hoping it's going to come back on up. I'm a little conservative, but as always, I just want to tell you guys these things. The potential's there. Is it going to happen? We'll see, but the potential is 100% there. So just be ready for it if that stock does start coming on up. Just want to make sure you guys are all set. But other than that, I wanted to go over market conditions. I want to talk about a few different plays. My play so far today, SEEL. This play got up to $4 from a nice break of a U shape, but got rejected at $4. Just didn't get enough hype. VVPR went on a nice run, tried to stay above $2, giving a little bit back. So these were a little bit of runners today, but it wasn't anything, insane-wise. It wasn't too insane. As you guys know as well, we have our small account challenge starting on up, and I'm very excited about that. I posted this link in the chat room, so again, make sure you guys go check that out. If you guys have not seen that link, I will post it again right here. So you guys are all good right there. And also, if you guys are just watching this video right now, I'll post it underneath in the description. And this is basically, if you guys want to be on our email list for the small account challenge, we'll be sending out, updates, different, times when we're starting, and, different plays on alerts and such. So make sure you guys put your name, get your email. And again, we're just going to be sending you guys emails about the small account challenge coming on up. So make sure you guys go ahead and sign up for that, so you guys are all good. Other than that, we're all set, ready to rock and roll. Awesome job. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know, and I'm more than happy to help you guys out. So awesome, awesome job.